I had been at my favorite watering hole for about half an hour. The waitress had just brought me a second pint of beer and taken away the empty one. I was here because I needed to think about something. Something at home just wasn't right, and I couldn't figure out why. As everyone knows, serious contemplation is best done with a drink. My wife Gloria's behavior had started to change over the past couple of months or so. When I tried to discuss it with her and ask what was going on, she just shut me out. Our sex life had also drastically declined. She began to complain quite frequently about our finances. I couldn't really understand it, as I was earning very good money. We had everything we needed, and there was still plenty left over to enjoy some of the finer things in life. With our investments and other assets, we were worth around $5 million. Everything was going well, but she was acting as if we were just struggling to get by. It's funny because the country club membership I gifted her 6 months ago seemed to mean nothing to her. Yes, I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing. The most logical explanation is that she's having an affair and is thinking about switching sides. There were a couple of problems with that, though. First, we didn't have a prenuptial agreement. That would mean I'd get screwed in the divorce. Second, I had no proof of her infidelity. Anyway, I had just taken a sip of my second beer when I saw her walk into the bar. No, it wasn't my wife, who was supposedly out with the girls tonight. I had no idea who she was, but she was absolutely stunning. Every head in the bar turned to look at her as she quickly scanned the room and then made a beeline straight toward me. When she reached the booth where I was sitting, she just slid in across from me without even saying a word. She looked me over for a moment, then spoke. "Adam Colton." I simply nodded. The waitress quickly came over and took her order for a glass of white wine. "My name is Alyssa Holmes. I have a lot of information that I think could be useful to you. I also have a suggestion on how best to use this information." "All right," I replied. "What will this information cost me?" She smiled. "It won't cost you a cent. In fact, if you accept my proposal, it will even help you preserve most of your assets, more than you might get otherwise." "Okay, what information do you have?" "First of all, your wife is cheating on you." "And how do you know that? Do you have any proof?" "I know because she's cheating on you with my brother. I have photos, videos, audio recordings, and even notarized statements about it. I'm ready to give it all to you." "Wow, you must really hate your brother if you're throwing him under the bus like this." Her smile lit up the entire bar. "Quite the opposite. In fact, I'm here on his behalf. He sent me to talk to you while she's busy with him. I'm confused. If he's stealing her from me, why would he try to help me? I mean, I've read all those stories about cheating wives, and in most of them, the wife catches the poor guy off guard so he can't prepare and fight back. By warning me, I can start preparing and moving assets to reduce the amount the courts would order me to pay her. Isn't that counterproductive for him? Usually, yes, but this case is entirely different. You see, we don't want you to file for divorce right now, even with this information. By all means, take the opportunity to move assets and do what you need to do. Just don't file for divorce. Don't even let her know you suspect her of cheating. We'll help with the divorce later. We'll have a dossier on her containing practically everything." "How do you plan to do that?" "God knows Gloria loves money. I can't imagine her just giving up half of our assets, plus significant alimony payments." Her smile turned midnight into a bright, sunny summer day. Damn, I might have died of radiation sickness if I had been exposed to her smile for much longer. "All right, there are a couple of things you should keep in mind. First, my brother is a really good person. When he started a relationship with your wife, he had no idea she was married. She practically threw herself at him. It was only 2 weeks ago that the background check came back, and we discovered she was married. It took another week to conduct further checks and gather all the necessary information to confirm that she hadn't divorced or separated from her husband. This information also suggests that she just wants to negotiate. You're quite wealthy, but we are much richer, much richer. Our data shows that you are worth approximately $5,164 million. This includes the 1968 GTO you're planning to buy for about $10,000 less than it's actually worth. She noticed the surprised look on my face. "Yes, we have extremely detailed information. In our league, you have to be very careful with whom you deal. We've also discovered that you are a very decent and honest person. That's why we decided to take this approach. All right, it seems you're putting me at a disadvantage since you have all this information about me, but I know nothing about you. Yes, I understand. I told you my name. My brother's name is Brad Holmes. A quick search on the internet should provide enough background information about us to answer any questions you might have. Additionally, don't hesitate to hire a PI firm to check our background. You can even send us the bill for it if you like. All right, I'll definitely need to verify everything before I commit to anything. So, what's the plan? There's one more thing you should know. Brad has been married once before. She was an unfaithful gold digger. He caught her cheating. Fortunately, they had a prenuptial agreement with very strict penalties for infidelity. Essentially, she left with just the clothes on her back and whatever she could carry in 2 suitcases. Brad despises cheaters and gold diggers. Usually he's a really good guy, but he can be ruthless when he discovers someone is trying to take advantage of him. So he will be guiding her over the next few months. Eventually, he'll convince her to file for divorce so she can marry him. However, one of the conditions will be that she asks for absolutely nothing from you. He'll persuade her that she won't need any of your assets because my brother is worth over $500 million. In about 2 months, he'll propose to her. She'll have to confess to him that she's married. According to the emails she sent to her friend, she plans to tell him that the 2 of you have been separated for a long time but never officially divorced. She intends to paint you as the bad guy and claim that you've been unfaithful throughout the entire marriage. You, of course, will threaten to fight the divorce, but my brother will convince her to give you everything so the divorce can go through quickly and they can get married. You'll get everything and she'll get nothing. Once the final divorce decree is issued, Brad will tell her about the lies she's told him. He'll say he can't trust a woman who cheated on her husband. He'll dump her and leave her with nothing. It seems I really have nothing to lose and everything to gain here. Even if everything you're telling me is complete nonsense, I can still protect myself by hiding assets and preparing to divorce this cheater. I need the information you have, and I'd also like to meet your brother. Since he apparently didn't know she was married, I have no issues with him, so you don't need to worry about any physical reaction from me. If he's as good a guy as you say, and if what you've told me is true, maybe we could even become friends. That radiant smile appeared again. You're a good man, Adam Colton. I think you and Brad will get along just fine. With those words, she finished her wine, stood up, and walked out the door. I would like to thank the Academy for this great honor. Yeah, that didn't happen. Nevertheless, the next 2 months were supposed to bring me an Oscar. I put in just enough effort while having sex with Gloria so that she wouldn't suspect anything. Of course, I was always puzzled by this. Not that I minded. A couple of weeks later, I did meet with Alyssa and Brad over a long lunch. I also managed to have dinner with Alyssa a few times when Gloria was off somewhere with Brad. Gloria and I had turned into more of platonic roommates than a married couple. Alyssa, I hate to do this, but I think we should take a step back for a while. I told her this over dinner, a little more than a month after our first meeting. Really, but we get along so well. Yes, that's exactly the point. Right now we're getting along too well. I'm not like Gloria. I'm a one-woman man. I don't cheat on the woman I'm with. Sure, Gloria and I don't have much of a relationship anymore, but she's still my wife. I just can't start another relationship until our divorce is final. The problem here is that I'm developing real feelings for you. I can't compromise my morals by starting a relationship with one woman while I'm still tied to another. Besides, I care about you so much that I don't want to ruin what we could have by sinking to her level and getting involved before my current marriage is fully over. Alyssa sighed deeply. I understand. You're a good man, Adam. I admire your ethics and your sense of right and wrong. It's one of the things I admire most about you, and probably the main reason I find myself falling for you. To hell with Gloria. She's too foolish to figure it all out anyway. Perfect. We'll step back for a bit, but I'll be damned if I wait longer than necessary. Let's finish dinner, and then you'll take me dancing. Once you drop me off at home, I'll call Brad and tell him to pull the trigger. It's a month earlier than we planned, but Gloria is too stupid to catch on. Seriously? What kind of brainless cheater throws away an amazing husband like you? Alyssa is an enthusiastic dancer. The way her body moved on the floor during fast dances, the way she pressed up against and rubbed against me during slow dances. I'm surprised I didn't soil my underwear several times that night. Even though it was clear we were together, several men approached our table during our breaks to ask her for a dance. It turned out to be amusing. Are you some idiot whose mother never taught him anything? Or are you just a fool with a mediocrity complex? First of all, it would never even cross my mind to dance with a pig like you, who doesn't even have the decency to ask the man I'm obviously with if he would allow me to dance with you. You swaggered over here as if you think you're God's gift to humanity, when in reality, you're just an arrogant jerk who probably couldn't find a woman's organ with a map, GPS, and a Boy Scout guide. I bet you don't even know how to use that tiny thing you're hiding under those rolled-up socks in your pants. After this wannabe Lothario slunk away, a couple of brave souls actually approached and politely asked if I would allow them to dance with her. I replied that she could dance with them if she wished. Alyssa always declined, explaining that she was saving all her dances just for me. Alyssa stole my soul when I walked her to the door that night. She turned, placed her hands on my cheeks, and gave me a soul-stealing kiss. My soul was sucked out of my mouth. She replaced my soul with hers as the kiss deepened. It went on and on. I felt all my life force being drained from me by that one passionate embrace. Eventually it ended, and we were both left breathless. "You have no idea how much I want to drag you inside with me," she said with a smirk. "Probably about as much as I want to pick you up and carry you inside. Still, it would be wrong, and I can't risk us regretting it later. Just think about how much better it will be for us to wait and do it the right way." "You and your damned morals," she smiled. "Why the hell did I have to fall in love with someone so damn noble?" "Alyssa, on the day my divorce decree is finalized, I'll be on my knees at your doorstep, holding a ring in one hand and a signed prenuptial agreement in the other. I'm not here for your money. Even if everything goes wrong and I have to give that cheater most of my assets, I'll still have enough of my own money that I won't need yours. I love you, Alyssa. That's all that matters to me. My ring size is 6.5. Don't worry about the prenuptial agreement. I had my lawyer draft it 2 weeks ago. Just send me your lawyer's contact information and a copy will be sent over." This happened a week later. No, Alyssa and I aren't getting together just yet. It was a Friday evening. I came home from work and found Gloria and Brad sitting on the couch. I noticed Brad's smirk and a barely perceptible nod to me. "Sweetheart," Gloria began, "we need to talk." Looking at the situation, I pretty much understood what was happening. It also helped that Alyssa had warned me about it earlier that day. The setup included Gloria and Brad sitting next to each other on the couch. 2 glasses and a half-empty bottle of wine were on the coffee table. There was also an envelope made of heavy paper on the table. Yes, just as expected. I walked over to the couch and extended my hand. "Hi, I'm Adam. I see you're drinking wine, but I prefer craft beer. I'm going to grab myself a beer. Beer, or do you prefer wine?" "Nice to meet you. I'm Brad. Actually, I'd prefer beer if you don't mind." "Thank you," he replied. I returned a couple of minutes later with some beer. Being a good host, I opened both bottles right in front of them so they could be sure I hadn't tampered with them. After popping the bottle caps and taking a sip, we both sat down, he on the couch as before, and I in my deep armchair. "So," I began, "what do we need to talk about?" "All right, Adam," Gloria began. "This is probably going to be a shock to you, but I want a divorce. I didn't want this to happen, but Brad and I just fell in love. We're soulmates. I'm sorry, but our marriage hasn't been great for a while, and then I met Brad. It just happened. Now is the time for both of us to end this, so Brad and I can start building a new life together." She even managed to take a few sips and shed a tear. Looks like I'll have some serious competition for the Oscar. She was doing a pretty good job of playing the sorrowful wife. "Well, Gloria, this really is a shock to me. Yes, we've had some problems, but that's mainly because you kept shutting me out. I asked several times what was wrong and how I could help. You never gave me an answer. I tried to do more for you. I tried to take you on more romantic dates, but you always had other things to do. I brought you flowers and you just ignored them. When I tried to get closer, you constantly pushed me away. You never once mentioned anything I could do to help fix our problems. I even suggested counseling, but you refused. You said Brad is your soulmate, but you used to say I was your soulmate when we got married. If there was a problem in our marriage, you should have discussed it with me first so we could work on it and fix it, instead of going out and finding another lover. Now, instead of working with your husband to repair our marriage, you're just blindsiding me with divorce papers. I'm not sure that we can't still fix things. No, Adam, it's too late for that. Here are the papers. I've been very fair in dividing the assets. Division of assets? You lie and cheat on me, spending the money I bring home on yourself, and you think you deserve to be paid for that? I work my tail off to provide you with a great life, and in return, you cheat on me and then leave me? That's complete nonsense. Good luck getting the divorce you want anytime soon. If I have to pay you anything, it will be next to nothing. I'm hiring the most expensive legal team I can find with the sole purpose of dragging this out as long as possible and draining as much money as I can, so that when it's finally over in a couple of years, there will be nothing left to pay you, you filthy cheater. That's when Brad made his move. All right, Adam, listen, I'm sorry about this. When we first met, I didn't even know she was married. By the time I found out, we were already madly in love. It's clear that while you love Gloria, she no longer loves you. I understand your situation here. The bottom line is that Gloria no longer wants to be married to you. No matter how hard you fight it, as you said, the divorce will eventually happen. By fighting it, all you'll do is give most of your assets to the lawyers. Sure, it will reduce the amount you'll have to pay her, but it will also mean that you'll lose almost everything yourself. There's no need for that. Since we plan to get married as soon as the divorce is final, you won't need to pay any spousal support. Additionally, I'm a very wealthy man, so Gloria really doesn't need to take any of your assets. In fact, whatever she gets from the divorce will be just a drop in the ocean compared to the wealth she'll have when she marries me. Look, you keep the house, your pension, all savings and investments, and half of what's in the checking account. She walks away with half of the money in the checking account, all her clothes, personal belongings, and her car. Honestly, she won't really need anything else after we get married. All right, I reluctantly agreed, except for the fact that she returns her wedding rings and all the jewelry I inherited from my family. I also want the expensive jewelry we keep in the safe. I bought that with the intention of passing it down to our children and grandchildren as family heirlooms. Brad turned to Gloria. Remember, we discussed this. We've already caused him enough pain with what we've done. It's better to wrap this up quickly so we can get married and start our new life sooner. You're right, Brad. I won't need his money after we're married anyway. Let's finalize and sign the new papers. With those words, we toasted to our agreement, and they left. Now, I know some of you out there might think I'm a heartless bastard who left just a couple of dollars in the joint checking account. You'd be wrong. That might have raised her suspicions. We typically kept around $10,000 in the account, so I left it untouched. She had several designer dresses, expensive shoes, and other accessories. Most men don't realize it, but they're giving away quite a bit when they ignore their wife's wardrobe during a divorce. Gloria's clothing alone was worth nearly $60,000 at retail. There's actually a pretty decent market for high-quality secondhand women's clothing online. Of course, you can't get full retail price, but you can get at least 50% to 75% of it. Her car was a year-old Lexus that we paid for in cash. A week later, my lawyer and I met with them at her lawyer's office. Her lawyer emphasized that he strongly advised his client against the proposed division of assets. Essentially, it was 90% for me and 10% for Gloria. It doesn't matter, Gloria said. As soon as the divorce is final, Brad and I will get married. That will eliminate alimony, and I won't need any other assets anyway. I just want this to be over as quickly as possible so I can move on with my life. We signed all the papers, and he had his notary assistant certify everything. Now it was just a 60-day waiting game until the final decree would be issued. In the meantime, Alyssa and I got to know each other much better. We spent most of our free time together. No, we didn't have sex. God knows we both wanted to, and we came close more than once. But we decided to wait until the final divorce decree was issued. Brad and Gloria also continued their relationship. She even moved in with him full-time. Brad, Alyssa, and I finalized and fine-tuned our plans for the endgame. The 60-day waiting period passed. I received the final notice in the mail the day before. The monstrous engine purred as I idled into the parking lot in front of the mansion. I pressed the clutch, shifted the four-speed transmission into neutral, and engaged the parking brake. Stepping out, I smoothed the lapels of my new tuxedo. I really needed to make a great impression. After all, I was now free from my cheating wife and about to enter the next chapter of my life. I quickly patted my jacket to make sure what I needed was securely tucked in the inside pocket. With that settled, I turned to the young man, about 20 years old, who hurried over to me under the envious gazes of his colleagues. "She's got a really tough clutch. Be gentle with her," I advised as he respectfully climbed into my 1968 GTO. I spent the last month finishing her up. Now that I no longer had a wife wasting all my money on stupid stuff, I could afford to spend some cash on things I really wanted. I had a grin from ear to ear as I climbed the steps and entered the mansion. This was going to be an epic night. Just before stepping through the open door, I caught a glimpse of the next arrival. That turned the night from simply epic to absolutely legendary. I couldn't help but laugh. "So, you're a bit confused. That's understandable." I was attending a divorce party. It was being held in celebration of the finalization of the divorce between Gloria and me. I had an official invitation to attend. No, I wasn't planning on ruining Gloria's party. It was all part of the plan. The party was held at Brad's mansion. Although it was far from a surprise party, several surprises were expected throughout the evening. It was a very upscale event designed to introduce a new member into Brad and Alyssa's social circle. Gloria had been eagerly anticipating this event for the past 2 months, ever since the planning began. No sooner had I crossed the threshold than Alyssa approached me. Her left hand slipped through the crook of my right arm, and we started to move. You couldn't have wiped the smile off my face with a nuclear weapon. She began guiding me around the room, introducing me to the influential members of society. We were halfway around the grand ballroom when it happened. "What the hell is he doing here?" I heard the shrill scream of a very familiar voice. Suddenly, we found ourselves face to face with Gloria and Brad. Needless to say, Gloria wasn't too pleased to see me at her special event. Not only was I the ex-husband she had just ditched, but it would be incredibly awkward if her new man proposed to her in my presence so soon after our divorce. "I'm sorry, Gloria," Brad began, "but it seems my sister and your ex-husband have become something of a topic of conversation. I couldn't refuse her request to invite her boyfriend, since the invitation did, after all, include a +1. "Whatever," Gloria huffed. Then looking at me, she continued, "Just don't cause a scene and ruin this wonderful evening for me." Gloria, I assure you that, in honor of the several wonderful years we spent together, I will be on my best behavior. I understand how much this evening means to you, and I'll do everything I can to make sure we can look back on tonight as the event where you began the rest of your life. I loved only you for many years, Gloria. I'll do everything in my power to ensure tonight catapults you into the new life you deserve. Hey, was it my fault that she misinterpreted what I said? I didn't lie. So her beaming smile indicated that she took my words as kind. Was that my fault? It was 3 hours later. Dinner had been served and cleared away. The band was already playing, and there had been plenty of dancing. I was in the middle of the dance floor with Alyssa. Of course, it was all a setup. The couples around us subtly moved aside to give us space. It was the middle of the song when suddenly a spotlight fell on us. I did 2 quick spins, then dropped to one knee with a ring in hand. Alyssa, ever since you came into my life, you've occupied my every thought. You helped me through the toughest situation I could ever imagine. You're the first thought that comes to my mind when I wake up in the morning, and the last thought before I fall asleep at night. I simply can't imagine living the rest of my life without you. Will you do me the honor of becoming my wife? Of course, she said yes. Seriously, folks, we planned all of this in advance. I had already signed the prenuptial agreement. She even grabbed me right there on the dance floor and sealed it with a very long, very passionate kiss. Everyone applauded. This made Gloria even angrier because we drew attention away from what was supposed to be her night. The evening shifted from being a celebration of her divorce to a celebration of my engagement to Alyssa. Finally, a couple of hours later, she caught on. Brad, we were supposed to get married as soon as my divorce was finalized. Now it's final. So why has your sister just gotten engaged to my ex-husband? and you still haven't even given me a ring. We haven't even started planning our wedding." Gloria confronted Brad right in the middle of the social gathering she so desperately wanted to be a part of. "Well, here's the thing, Gloria. I've gotten to know Adam pretty well over the past few months while he's been dating my sister. He's actually a great guy, and we've become pretty good friends. It occurred to me that if you could so easily cheat on such a wonderful guy like him, who did nothing but love you, what's to stop you from cheating on me? After all, it was you who came on to me. You even lied to me at the very beginning about being single. Once you had to admit that you were married, you made it seem like you were separating and heading for divorce anyway. After talking to Adam about the situation, I found out that you lied about that too. There's absolutely no reason for me to marry a serial liar and cheater like you. In fact, I'm breaking up with you. I'm giving you a week to find a new place to live before I throw all your stuff out on the street. And now, if you'll excuse me, there are a couple of single ladies over there I think I'll go talk to," Brad replied. Oh, she really did try to fight back. She returned with renewed vigor to try and overturn the divorce. The problem was that there was just too much evidence against her, showing that she had voluntarily and adamantly insisted on that completely unfair division of assets. The judge did not look favorably upon her when she came back and tried to modify the divorce terms that she had previously demanded. Alyssa and I did get married. Yes, an ironclad prenuptial agreement was in place. In the end, it was my concern. I asked my lawyer to draft it. Alyssa thought it was too harsh, but I had already signed it. I wasn't after her money. No, I wasn't in their league, but I had enough of my own to take care of myself if things went wrong. I did send Gloria a nice wedding announcement. It had a beautiful photo of Alyssa and me. Gloria didn't attend our wedding. No, Gloria didn't end up homeless. She eventually got a job at Taco Bell and lived in a rundown studio apartment. Now she buys her clothes at Goodwill and her underwear at Walmart. In her attempt to trade up, she lost the comfortable lifestyle she had grown accustomed to. She's still a very attractive woman, but word travels fast. She tried a few more times to snag one of the wealthy single men in town, but they all knew her as a gold digger. I saw Gloria again about a year later. Alyssa and I were returning from dinner at an excellent Italian restaurant on the other side of town. "That looks like Gloria," Alyssa said, pointing to the street corner. And sure enough, when I turned around, there was Gloria. She was standing, leaning against a building. Her hair was styled, but not perfectly. Her chest was barely covered by a too small spaghetti strap top she was wearing. It was easy to tell she wasn't wearing a bra. The skirt sat low on her hips and was short enough to barely cover her, and that was only if she stood up straight. The garter straps holding up her stockings were blatantly visible beneath the hem of the skirt. I concluded that the reason she was leaning against the building was that walking in those ankle boots with 7-inch heels must have been quite difficult. In fact, I was surprised I could even recognize her with such heavy makeup. Her lips were painted candy apple red. She wore thick black eyeshadow. I wasn't sure if it was just very thick mascara or if she had on false eyelashes. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out what was going on here. First, this was a part of town known for a certain type of financial transaction. Second, there were several other women in similar attire, and possibly some who weren't actually women, walking back and forth. The final clue was that, while we waited for the light to turn green, another car turned right at the intersection and pulled up to the curb in front of her. Gloria strutted over as the passenger window rolled down. She leaned into the car and started talking to the driver and his passenger. After a brief exchange, the passenger door opened and the passenger got out of the car. Alyssa and I watched as the front passenger seat was tilted forward and Gloria and the man slid into the back seat of the car. Once the door closed, the car drove off. Alyssa and I looked at each other and burst into laughter.